So in the last class, I gave an introduction about Kate Walker Ujuru Noonuccal. Okay, who she is. She is an Aboriginal activist, an Australian Aboriginal writer. And you are introduced to her works as well as her Aboriginal heritage. Today we will discuss this poem. We just began and we discussed a few lines. This is a lament of the loss of Aboriginal culture, as well as she exposes the beautiful experiences of Aborigines and their way of life, as well as how they suffered under the oppression of Britishers, British colonizers. Okay, that is what this poem is about. The Aboriginal identity, the Aboriginal experience, and how, especially the connection between Aboriginal land, the Australian land, and the indigenous people, and how this was going, and we are going over a period of time, especially because of colonization, how this connection was lost. And today, the Australian Canadians, the Australian Aborigines were not able to connect with the land. They have assimilated, they have become assimilated, okay, into the mainstream culture. I would say the Western culture, the materialistic culture. And there is no possibility of going back. Something is entirely lost, right? Their land is lost, as well as their way of life is lost, and their thinking itself has become conditioned today. They have compromised, they have commodified everything, even their past, their indigenous cultures, their way of life is today in the multicultural Australia. Everything is commodified, and they have assimilated into the mainstream culture. Maybe only a few may be sticking on to this old way of life. Right, you have to understand that, and we'll go to the lines. I will share the screen. Right. Can you see the text? Can you see the text? Yeah. They came into the little town. Mubin, can you see the text? Yes. Vashni. They came into the little town, a semi-naked band, subdued and silent, all that remained of their tribe. They came here to the place of their old Bora ground. Can anyone continue? Can anyone continue from there? Mubin, Arshanmadi, Kiran, anybody? Can you continue? Read these lines.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Be cheerful.
From where should I continue?
They came into the... Yes, a little louder, ma. We are not able to hear you.
Yes, sir. They came into the little town, a semi-naked band, muted and silent, all that remained of their tribe. They came here to the place of their old barrow ground, where now the many white men hurry about like ants. So now I'm not able to see the screen, sir. Yes, sir. Notice of here. Now it half covers the of the old barrow ring. We are as strangers here now, but the white tribe are the strangers. We belong here. We are of the old ways. We are Koraboi and the Bora ground. We are the old ceremonies, the law of the elders. We are the wonder tales of dream time. The tribal legends told, we are the past, the hunts, and the laughing games, the wandering campfires, we are lightning bolt over Kafamba hills. Sir, I've read it, sir. Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir. Sir, your mic is in off, sir.
Okay, ma. Thank you, thank you. Genesis or anybody else? Kevin can read. Continue. Can you see the rest of the lines? You can continue. Kiran, thank you, Kiran. Maybe someone else can continue.
So
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
quick and terrible, and the thunder after him, that loud fellow. We are the quiet daybreak, piling the dark lagoon. We are the shadow ghost creeping back as the campfire burn. We are nature and the past, all the old ways gone, now unscattered. The scrums are gone, the hunting and the laughter. The eagle is gone, the emu and the kangaroo are gone from this place. The
Bora.
ring is gone. Bora ring is gone. The corroboree is gone, and we are going.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So what do you see from reading this poem? You have to understand that there is a loss of sense of belonging, right? The sense of belongingness is very important for aborigines, the natives, the indigenous people. They connect with the land. They have a sense of communion with the land. The sense of belongingness is very important for them. I have told you that aborigines have their own creation stories, their own worldviews. It is called as dream time. You will maybe it is there is a reference in this poem. They have their own worldviews, creation stories, as well as they connect with their ancestors. They believe that everything is created by spirits, and they connect with their ancestors. And every tribe has a distinct identity and distinct cultural practice. So that is very difficult maybe for them to assimilate and fight against Britishers. That is an important reason. Maybe I will tell you more about that as we discuss the poem. So in this poem, you see a sense of belongingness, especially the Aborigine sense of belongingness, and a sense of identity leading to cultural disruption because of the invasion of Britishers and their culture, as well as the British colonialism. So cultural disruption and identity crisis and a sense of deprivation you can see as expressed by Ujiro Noonuccal, right? They came to the little town a semi-naked band. Okay, I also told you that you can see this poem maybe as seen from the eyes of maybe a white man or a woman. But from the eyes of the whites, you can see their opinions or their view of the aborigines, how they saw these native people as semi-naked, uncivilized, banned, subdued, and silent. They are voiceless. They don't have voice to speak. They did not protest. Okay, even their protest was not successful because each one were in different lands. and they don't have this connection with each other. Of course, each group lived collectively, sharing with each other, sharing their resources. See, aborigines, the tribes are very collective. That's why you can see even in this poem, Noonuccal is saying we, a collective affirmation. See, a tribe lived in such togetherness, okay, sharing with each other. Such a kind of unity was there. But Westerners always they say I, okay. It is the I attitude, but for aborigines, the native people, they always have this we attitude, the collective affirmation. But each group of people, each tribe, each group is distinct. Their cultures are different. There are more than 250 to 300 cultures in a single maybe landscape, especially in Australia. These people are spread in different parts, maybe different cultures, maybe like 250 to 300 cultures, and they don't have connection with each other. They cannot maybe organized in an organized way. They cannot fight against the British when they invaded Australia. So that is easy for them, especially for the British colonizers, to invade Australia and kill most of them, and to settle there, and maybe as cultural invaders as well as for business, right? And you have to understand that Noonuccal portrays the angst of the aborigines in their quest for identity in their own land, where they have ironically been deemed as strangers by the white settlers. And they had this mission of civilizing, the white man's burden of civilizing. Say they wanted to civilize the natives. So that's the kind of attitude they had while they occupied most of the colonies, right? And I want to bring to your notice, I want to read from an excerpt by Rob von Grissom. Maybe he observed regarding the aborigines as well as regarding the colonialism, what has happened because of British invasion, right? Just listen to me. The devastation of the aborigines at the hands of the British settlers is outlined by Rob van Grissom. It's a quote. I just listen. You can understand a lot from this quote about colonialism in Australia and the effects of it. When Sydney Cove was first settled by the British, it is believed that there were about 750,000 Aboriginal people in Australia, and that around 250 different languages. Mind you, 250 different languages were spoken, many as distinct from each other as English is from Chinese, right? In such a society based on family groups with an egalitarian political structure, a coordinated response to the Europeans was not possible. Despite the presence of Aboriginal people, the newly arrived colonizers declared this new continent to be terra nullius, no man's land. Terra nullius, quite literally a land belonging to no one. Many Aboriginal people were driven from their land by force, and many more succumbed to exotic diseases such as smallpox, measles, venereal diseases, influenza, whooping cough, pneumonia, and tuberculosis. And the delicate balance between Aboriginal people and the environment was broken as the European invaders cut down forests, introduced new animals. And by 1800, there were 20 million sheep in Australia. Sheep and cattle destroyed water holes and ruined the habitats which had for tens of thousands of years sustained the Aborigines' food sources. See, what you understand from this, the variety, the diversity in Aboriginal culture, and the effect of British colonialism and how it has destroyed Aboriginal culture, and especially at the end, you can see it destroying the food sources. Europeans, they introduced new species, new animals and plants. See, this is also a political game played by Britishers, and it is not good to introduce some new species to a land. See, that is why when I told you about bioregions, there is variety in nature. If we try to interfere with that variety, if you introduce some new species, Sometimes it may adapt, but there will have, maybe we will have a lot of effects because of that, introducing a new species. Maybe they are not adapting to it, and they will destroy the cultural landscapes in it, or the unique land is not suitable for the new species, especially the animals and plants, and they may interfere and try to destroy the natural bioregion. That is what I wanted to convey, that it is important that the effects of these new species may be negative, right? Sometimes it may be positive also, right? It depends on the what are the species that are introduced. And here, sheep, they destroyed the water holes of the Aboriginal people, and they know, Aborigines, as I already told you, they have a special knowledge of how to tap water from a dry bush landscape. They have the special knowledge which the white people they're not aware of, or they don't, the lack of knowledge. But Aborigines have special knowledge, and that is more important, and they know how to deal with the land, and that is more precious than, okay, dealing with the land in a materialistic way, right? Commodifying it, okay, only for the sake of profit. So that is how colonialism worked, and they came here for business, right? Coming to these lines, are you following me? Are you with me? They came here to the place of their old Bora ground. I told you what is an old Bora ground. The initiation ceremony for young boys that happens there. They are taught a lot of tribal secrets, the Aboriginal secrets. And in order to become a man, a young boy should attend a lot of Bora meetings. It is a sacred space, okay, where now the many white men hurry like ants. The many white men hurry like ants. Right, you can also see the rubbish. Okay, I told you, notice of the estate agents that rubbish may be tipped here. This Bora space, the sacred ground space, is now, what is the notice there? Rubbish may be tipped here. See the kind of disregard for this culture, right? For the Aboriginal culture. They had such a kind of disregard for Aboriginal culture. So this kind of the sense of belonging to the land, and it was a sacred site used to perform certain ceremonies. I'm talking about the Bora ground, the sacred ground. So a man is, that's a quote by A.R. Brown, okay? A man is not regarded as a fully initiated member of the tribe until he has attended several Bora meetings. He has to be in that sacred space, okay? And that's a kind of initiation ceremony, a lot of rituals are there, and he has to connect with the ancestor spirits, and he's taught a lot of secrets, the Aboriginal secrets, and to become an adult, a man, he has to attend a lot of Bora meetings. So rubbish may be tipped here, reflects the disrespect and the destruction of the Aboriginal culture and their subsequent displacement from the land. So the rubbish that half covers the traces, the old Bora is symbolic of the destruction of, the rubbish may be tipped here, right? We can see that this section of this Aboriginal landscape, right? It's no more there. And the displacement from their land. So according to Noonuccal, this old Bora ground is a symbol of Aboriginal culture. That's why he's referring to all the symbols, old Bora ring, okay, dream time, the Kurabori. What is Kurabori? It's like a campfire dance. It's a campfire dance. They just dance around and they try to connect with the ancestors. And after this campfire, the dance, they feast. That is a kind of ceremony they have, a very special spiritual ceremony. So you can see loss of physical as well as spiritual identity for Aborigines. We are strangers here now, but the white tribe are the strangers. Actually, the white tribe are the strangers, but we are strangers now. See that collective affirmation, we there. We belong here, we are of the old days, we are the Korabori dance, the tribal dance, the campfire dance, and the Bora ground. We are old ceremonies and laws of the elders. We are old ceremony and laws of the elders. And I want to refer to this line, especially give importance to where now many white men hurry about like ants. Notice of the estate. See, white men, they hurried like what? Maybe they are hardworking, like the white ants. The ants go and steal things from place, food from a place, but they were hurrying like white men. They were hardworking and they were trying to be organized, and they got hold of the Australian landscape. They occupied, they invaded Australian landscape. But the aborigines, they were not able to do that because they are not as organized as the whites, right? Because they are in different groups, different tribes, okay? Different tribes and different groups, and they were not able to organize themselves. We are Korobori and the Bora ground. We are the old ceremonies and the laws of the elders. We are the wonder tales of dream time, the tribal legends told. We are the past, the hunts and the laughing games, the wandering campfires. See the lightning bolt over Gampi Blaba Hill. Okay, Gampi Bab Hill. Gampi Bab Hill. What is this Gampi Bab Hill? And see, this is a kind of special place where these people, they connected well with nature. They had such ancient connection with nature, right? A special connection with nature. So here you can see the form of nature's phenomena. They were able to connect with that, and they are part of the land. And that is very important with regard to Gappingham Hill. We are the lightning bolt over. See, nature's phenomena is maybe related to this people. Quick and terrible. See, all these ceremonies, laws of the elder time, dream time. What is dream time? Can anyone say if you have any knowledge of dream time? As I told you, dream time is connecting with their ancestors. They have their own karabari, the dance, the ceremony of dancing, and like a campfire dance. The dream time, as I told you, this is those old stories, creation stories. They have their own creation stories, how this world evolved. They had their own worldviews. Right? That is dream time. And with that, during that dream time, they draw and they have so many signs to show and teach the elders as the youngsters. It is all because of the ancestors which happened. The ancestors taught a lot of things. That is the kind of belief they had, right? The mothers, the fathers, the grandmothers, grandfathers, they connected with that spirits, okay, in the dream time experience. As well as many tribes are not only human beings, but also they connected with animals. See, some tribes believed in human beings, connecting with human spirits. Some of the tribes had animal spirit as their guide, okay, as their god. They connected with those animal spirits. Maybe snake is one such animal. They connected with the snake spirits. Such a kind of, maybe they believe that these spirits are creators. They created the world. This has happened over maybe 65,000 years before, maybe more than 65,000 years before. And they had this connection, spiritual connection with the land, and through the land, they connected with the ancestors and the spirits. So that is why this Bora ring, this sacred space, everything becomes important. And we are the past, the hunts and the laughing games, the wandering camp, and we are the lightning bolt over the Gampham Hill, quick and terrible, and the thunderer after him, that loud fellow. And we are the shadow ghosts creeping back as the campfires burn low. And we are nature and the past and all the old ways, gone now and scattered. The scrubs are gone. The hunting and the laughter is gone. See, the joy they had in the company of each other, right? The togetherness, the collective we, the affirmation, everything is gone. The eagle is gone. The emu, right? Emu and the kangaroo are gone from this place. The Bora ring is gone. The Korobori is gone. The sacred ring is gone. The sacred space is gone. The Korobori, the campfire dance, the ritual dance is gone, and we are going. See, the kind of loss, the sense of loss you can see in Ujro Noonuccal's poem. The sense of belongingness is lost. Ultimately, the sense of going, that the past, the old ways is slowly, they are losing touch of it, maybe losing touch of it. They were not able to follow that. Maybe they are not, they are disposed or dispossessed and displaced from the place they lived. And that is the reason they now started assimilating in the mainstream culture. And they are going today as well. And they are already gone. And there is, do you think there is maybe future for the Aboriginal culture? Maybe a few, maybe here and there, a few people were sticking on to the old ways of life, and now they are kept as relics, right? The skeletons or the Bora ring or the boomerang, everything is kept as, right, something to be watched, and it is not a living culture no more, right? It has maybe almost, it is completely vanished from Australia, and everything is in the museum for visitors, for people to see, right? Anybody, would you like to contribute something, add to my points? If you have any doubts, you can clarify. uh, so I would like to give you some more quotes on this. As Peter Reed points out, Ujro Noonuccal's land is real and exterior. You can think of some questions or any clarifications. The central consequence of this disposition of the land, disposition is palpable. The absolute deprivation of land and culture. To Noonuccal, who grew up on a real reserve and found its total destruction, both physical and mental, or physical and spiritual, I would say. Physical and spiritual. The destruction of physical and spiritual is what you can see in this poem. And the white settlers have taken over their land, and she could not come to terms with it. And that is why she laments, and we are strangers here now. And the white tribe are the strangers. We belong here. We are the old ways. We are the Korobori and the Bora ground. We are the old ceremonies, the loss of the elders. We are wonder tales of dream time, the tribal legends told. Right? And with regard to this, we have to remember, keep in mind the we and I, right? The repetition of the first person pronoun. We represents the collective experience of the Aborigines. As I told you, the collective experience of the Aborigines. And more than emphasizing a connection with the nation, Ujro stresses on the importance of the connection of nature and land, right? There is a deep connection between nature and land. But on the outlook of the Aborigines is different in comparison with the outlook of the white people. The I mentality of the West, the Western colonizers, which bears testimony to the harmonious and the interdependent nature of life among the Aborigines, and the selfish greed to plunder territories of the British colonizers. Right. An important quote you can take down. Noonuccal's poetry opines that a significant gift from the Aboriginal poets concerns their explanation that living at one with the environment enhances the chances of being at peace with yourself and with culture and with others, right? So if you have a connection with nature, living at one with the environment enhances the chances of being at peace with yourself and with others. That's very important. That's a profound statement given by Stuart Rees. So I told you about Korobora. I remember Korobora is a campfire dancing, a ritual dancing. And what are the interesting things that happens in a Korobora dancing ceremony is they look for matchmaking. So the matchmaking happened during the Korobora ceremony. And dancing was usually followed by feasting. And this age-old custom is completely lost today. Maybe we are also doing, when you go for a trip and you are doing campfire dancing, we are hearing a lot of cinema songs and you are doing campfire dancing. But their experience is completely, that's a kind of a spiritual experience, campfire dancing, and they also connect with their ancestors and so many things. And of course, matchmaking is one interesting activity that happens during the Korobore dancing. So we have to understand that Ujro also laments even the native species, remember, emu, kangaroo, and the eagle, which hold a sacred place in the life of Aborigines. See, all these animals are unique to Australia, which you cannot see in anywhere in the world, right? Kangaroos and emu birds, and these animals were and birds were brought into Australia, and the sheep and other new species were brought into Australia by the British settlers, and that brought in a lot of serious environmental hazards and changes in the landscape. You have to understand that. So here, Noonuccal is kind of using the past as a metaphor for the lost land, nature, culture, as well as identity. You have to understand that. And I'm just summing up, we can take a few points. So Noonuccal Ujuro brings out the oppression of the Aborigines, who were forcibly, they were made to give up their land and their indigenous way of life to the greed of the Britishers and the British colonizers, and which not only resulted in the loss of their land, but also sounds the death of Aboriginal, the death knell of Aboriginal culture. I would say that is the death knell of Aboriginal culture, which is now gone or scattered, right? It is completely gone, or it is scattered in so many ways, and it is very difficult to be organized, and it is very difficult to make it a living culture. And that is why Noonuccal is saying, we are going, because they have today assimilated with their mainstream culture. So this is a very important point, and she effectively portrays the Aborigines' loss of a sense of belonging, a sense of identity because of the oppression and pressurizing of the colonizer to assimilate into the European way of life, and leading to cultural disruption, identity crisis, and a sense of deprivation. So keep in mind, what are the things she is talking about? Cultural deprivation, an identity crisis, and cultural disruption, right? All these things happened, and today in a multicultural Australia, they are going. This we are going. The Aborigines are going, right? They are no more able to live their cultures because of various reasons. The invasion of British from the period they invaded during the settling of British, the colonialism period, and today everything is commodified, and today's Australia is a kind of materialistic culture, and now even the Aborigines, they have assimilated into the mainstream culture. That is what I told you repeatedly, and that is the reason today you can see we are going and the Aborigines are going, and it is possible maybe at least a few of them are still, Aborigines are still living there, sticking to their old way of life, but there may be very few, but still almost once the land is lost, everything is lost. That is the kind of, and also their mind is also conditioned to follow the mainstream culture today. They are no more able to live their experience. See, more than the loss of a land, the loss of that sense of belongingness is something, a greater loss than the loss of land. Now they don't feel connected to the land because the land is completely changed, the landscape is changed, right? So you have to understand it is both a physical and a spiritual loss. So I'll conclude with this, and you can also ask some questions. You can contribute some more points. Maybe if you have read the poem, if you can understand much. Anybody who would like to ask, you can put in the chat box. Are you with me? Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, a general doubt about the examination, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you?
Yes, ma'am.
Like, you will be just sending the question paper and we should write the answer and we should submit in the Google form. Is it, sir?
Like that. How you did for your internal test? It's similar to that, right?
We had only choose, but this is like we have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
write
You
some
have
answers.
essay short answers. Hmm?
Okay, sir. We have to write and we have to answer. to post it in the Google Classroom.
Yeah, did you get some instructions for that? You didn't get any instructions for that.
Like this is what we have got. So like we are supposed to. They will be sending the question paper in the Google assignment sheet, and we should write it and send before like 4